everyone, and welcome to another episode of Don't Wait Till Pigs Fly, a podcast conversation with successful business owners who share their secrets of thriving in business while living with chronic illness. Here's Nancy Becker.
Hey everybody, I'm Nancy, the Chief Flying Pig Wrangler, and I help entrepreneurs and business owners who know they have to make a move, but they don't want to just to move. They want to make it in a more sane, strategic, and systematic way and stop spinning their wheels. They know that there are tools and strategies out there that are going to help them thrive and flourish and have both successful businesses and health, but they want to learn different ways to do it. What's going to make the most sense for them? And I know our guest today has some insight into all of that. So grab your pens and paper and get started taking notes. It's going to be good. Welcome, Dr. Shané Petite.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Shané, we've been talking offline here, and you've got some really fascinating things to say, and I want to hear more. So I'm just going to ask you to jump on in and start telling your story.
Sure. Well, I always say it started when I was born, even though that's like the real long story that we have too much time for, not enough time for, I should say. Well, the thing is, it really did start there. I was born with sickle cell disease, and I was told that my mom was told that I wouldn't live long. I wouldn't live a long life. And if I did, that I would be developmentally delayed, have a lot of issues, and that ultimately my life would be short. So fast forward to where I'm consistently dealing with chronic pain. I am consistently dealing with isolation because of my pain crises. I'm definitely not out playing with my sisters, with my friends. As long as they are, I always have to come in or just stay in all together and deal with the pain crisis to keep from going into the hospital and or being in the hospital for a few weeks, coming out, then dealing with, withdrawal for morphine because, they don't have a cure yet. And what they usually just do is try to manage the pain. So from chronic pain, chronic illness, that space that always triggers depression, depressive thoughts, anxieties, isolation, social isolation, that builds from it. I really dealt with, a nice hand of cards here. And, going into the world as far as education, you mentioned that I'm a doctor. I'm by discipline, social work psychotherapist, as well as back in 2015, I finished my doctorate in Organizational Development Psychology. Talk about proving folks wrong, But I think that in the essence of survival, I was just strategic. It was, if I'm going to spend all this time alone in pain, let me distract myself, which then created a whole nother issue of anxiety, not being able to even follow instructions from my mom of just take a warm bath, just relax for a change. That
What's
didn't
relaxing?
No, my body didn't know how to.
Yeah.
I would literally have panic attacks. That was the only time I would have a panic attack, is when I was purposely trying to relax. And being fearful of being judged if I were to go out with friends and need to cut it short, and having to explain why, and not wanting to have anybody dote on me and feel sorry for me, the whole sympathy thing. It was like, no, I'm not doing that. I definitely am still my parents' kid, very strong-willed, and that was how I lived life. Let me figure it out on my own. Let me figure it out. And so then fast forward, yes, I went through school, and school being told, talk about messaging, being consistent, being told that I was a pseudo intellectual and that it wasn't their, putting up air quotes, fault that I went to a public school. Not that I went to one, but that's what was said. And then that was in undergrad. In grad school, it was being told that I couldn't handle it. I should just quit. I should just drop out and actually just go to a community college because it wasn't going to make any sense for me otherwise, right? Fast forward then to my doctoral program, being told by a professor that you're just not doctoral material. Funny enough, I sat right behind this lady during our hooding ceremony. And so it was sort of divine. But the messaging, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. You're not enough. Just stay in your little corner and waste away. And then fast forward to my last career in the government sector, spent 11 plus years, federal government healthcare, was told things all while I was going through ongoing chronic issues with my health, ongoing chronic issues of domestic violence in my marriage that I was told I wouldn't have, that I should have considered myself the help. Those words exactly. There's a movie and a book about it. Those words exactly. Like, really? Consider myself the help. And, blatant discrimination, prejudice in every regard. And yeah, I dealt with that type of psychological, emotional, mental abuse, cultural abuse. And then I go home and I deal with emotional, physical abuse, and being told that I'm a dime a dozen. It just didn't stop. And all the while getting to the point where literally, for those that know anything about sickle cell, I was in the hospital every weekend, or urgent care, because at that point it was like I couldn't afford to be in the emergency room or anybody's hospital for too long. I would go every weekend and get my fluids, get my IV of fluids, get my jump start. Of course, they would give me narcotics. And I got to the point where my body just rejected narcotics. I could smell narcotics and get nauseous and vomit. And I said, enough. Y'all can give me fluids, but that's about it. I'm out of here. And then I'd have to be home, so all throughout my life, dealing with hospitalizations, dealing with abuse, dealing with trauma. Crazy enough, like I said, I'm a psychotherapist. So when it's all said and done, when I consider everything, I look at a piece of paper from the insurance company that is reminding me that I'm covered, and I have so many more sessions allotted for therapy, what they're treating me for. I told you I worked in federal healthcare. I treated people with PTSD. And that was what was on my paper as the diagnosis they were treating, and they never said anything. I had PTSD on top of chronic pain, chronic depression, anxiety. That was
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's interesting to sit here and listen to your story, because in many ways, and I wonder how really common, and I don't mean to say either one of us are common, because we have our own, issues, but I am ABD, which I'm sure you understand what that is. But for the listeners, I got all the way up to writing my dissertation in my doctoral program, and I was told, who cares? Nobody wants to know. This is a waste of time and money, just quit. And I listened. I was in so much pain. I was, that I just said, well, I guess they're right. I let the voices. So
it's easy to.
So kudos for you to say, shut up, go away. I'm going to do it.
But you know what? It wasn't even to be for kudos. Let me tell you though. The only thing that got me through was the fact that I needed to be distracted. Because I hadn't learned how to sit still. I hadn't learned how to just rest.
And that's interesting too, because I work my tail off day in and day out. And my husband says, take a day off, just come sit down. And I'm going, no, because when I'm working, I feel better.
Yes.
But if I'm sitting
there's
there
meaning to it all, right?
When I'm sitting there on my butt, I'm going, oh my God, this hurts. What am I going to do? And so we work and we do things. But so it's really interesting that and I've always had things wrong with me too. I couldn't play with my friends because I had my first foot surgery when I was 14 years old and was in casts and walking on crutches and all these kinds of things. So I get so much of what you're saying. And the other question that I have that seems to come up often when I'm talking to people is, you're here, you're talking with me, you're sharing the story, but you also said that you didn't want the help, you didn't want the pity, you didn't want the support. And I get that too. My husband tries so hard. And by the way, it's my second marriage,
Okay. There's hope. There's hope.
There's another one that's a commonality. But he wants to help me so much that he does everything and he takes away the things that I can do. Because he wants to help me. And I go, would you please just leave me alone? Let me do it myself. Dang it.
It's such a conflict. For me, yes, it was, I don't want the pity. For me, it was, let me try to feel like I can do this without help. And then it was, oh, shoot. I taught you I didn't need you. And I'm trying to unteach that because then I'm asking for help and I get radio silence.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to, we'll see. What's the point? What's the point?
So I guess my question is, and this is for so many of my listeners, because I run up against brick walls all the time when I'm talking to people and I'm saying, you don't have to do it. We understand that you've got all of this going on. We understand that you want to be as independent and do things on your own as you can, but you can accept help and support, even if it's just to give you a way to learn how to do things yourself.
Absolutely.
And the reason I'm saying that is because when I'm out there and I'm trying to support people and I'm trying to say, hey, I may have found this really cool new tool that you can use and it's not going to hurt you. They'll go, no, I don't need help. I'm fine. I'll figure it out on my own. How do you get people who are dealing with the kinds of things that we're dealing with that maybe haven't become as aware yet of themselves? How do you get them to understand that it is okay to talk about the things that are going on and to share and to actually say, hey, I'm over here. I am ready for support. Teach me. You know? How do you get them to understand that?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that because it even goes to present day of what I do. And it's really focusing on people that are like me, just like what you're doing here with this podcast. It's how can we shed light on the darkness that we had so that other people see it? And I tell my story. I asked for permission and I let them know. After I have taken that flashlight, shine it right into their eye, and they're like, hey, wait a minute. Theoretically, it's like, well, let me tell you why I said what I said. Can I tell you a story? And I let them know nuggets at a time of pieces of where I've been that directly correlates with what they're talking about. And then I get quiet and I just look at them. And because I'm not expecting anything from them, it's like the dam is broken. Every single time. Tears. It's, you see me. I'm like, yeah, that's why I had that flashlight so close. That's why you were drawn to me. It's not by chance. It's not by chance. And I help them see that no matter what I've come to realize is that there's always this triad of mind, body, spirit, well-being that impacts it all. They may come to me and, yeah, okay, mindset. All right, we're going to deal with the mindset. Or for some people, it's therapy, so we're doing therapy. Okay. And as they're working through that and they're dumping out all of their protection, all of their gear that keeps them armored up, not seen, so to speak, by others of what's really going on. Once they get past that, then all of a sudden they just naturally, and I'm not a nutritionist, a dietitian, or anything like that. Naturally, they start saying, you know what? I just decided I want to start eating better. Oh, I just decided I'm going to go for a walk. I want to try this yoga thing. I want to try, they start opening themselves to what's natural in them, which is to care for and be the best version of themselves. Automatically. It's interesting to watch. But then guess where it ends? When they know what they know, the mind is good. And then they're eating good. Oh, yeah, I'm a vegan now. Or, oh, I just eat clean and I do my little cleanse and this, that, they got it all the way together. And then they come back like, but why do I still feel stuck? And I say, okay, then it's time to talk about your spiritual health. What are you doing? We're not talking religion at all. I subscribe personally to being a Christian, and this is how I was raised in a Christian faith. And I don't speak to the universe. I speak to the one who created the universe according to my beliefs.
Amen.
Okay. And I let them use their language.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what are you doing? What have you done? Well, I just believe, some people, they're like, okay, oh, the universe. And okay, so what are you doing as it pertains to the universe that's going to be on purpose? What do? Are you just someone living life as a passerby, or are you purposely doing things to attend to what I learned back in the day that the scholars called the ghost in the machine? That's Psychology 101. Yep. They dug and dug and dug and realized there's something else that beyond everything that physicists and everybody could try to figure out. We are spiritual beings. And then I start talking to them about language they use, right? Oh, their vibe was right, or their vibe was off. What is a vibe? Oh, their energy. Oh, so you can sense someone else's energy. Interesting. Let's go with that. And when it's all said and done, are you being careful about who you're around? I had this one lady, she told me, what'd you think about this particular book? She named the book and I didn't even like the name of it, right? I never even read it, never even heard of it. But I personally, because I am very mindful, very spiritually grounded. And so, Golden Nugget tool, #grounding, anchoring spiritually, right? So I help people because I stay grounded and I can feel their energy, even if it is virtually, right? I feel it and I watch them and they're like, this young lady, she said, oh, what do you think about this book? I said, I don't even like the name. What is it about?
I love it.
She said, well, it's sort of sinister. Interesting. Didn't even know it, but I knew it just from the name. And she goes, long story short, tells me how it has her even questioning if she should trust the friends that she knows she can trust. And I said, you know what? I don't think you're in a place to read that right now. I said, you know how we talk about kids being a sponge and how you got to be careful about what you say because, I'm like right now, because we're talking spiritually, you are a sponge. You need to be careful about what you let in. You're dumping out the bad. You're dumping out the distractions. You're dumping out everything that keeps you from being steady and grounded. And you're to fill it with things that keep you steady and grounded. Not a bunch of mess, talk about manipulation and let me trick this person. No, that's what you're trying to stay away from.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So when you say, how do I get them there? It's literally by first just letting them know without even saying the words that I see exactly who you are. But why don't you tell me? Put words to it. You tell me. Some of them don't even know. They'll be like, I don't know. That's a loaded question when you ask it. And the question was, who are you in this moment?
And that's a loaded question. Huh?
That's a loaded question. Can you rephrase that? No. Who are you in this moment? I say, well, I guess you got some homework. You can't have me guide you anywhere in your personal life, in your business, or anywhere else if you don't even know who you are.
Thank you.
And once you figure out who you are, and we're going to say whose you are, then you start focusing on purpose. What am I here for? Because of all the craziness that you and I have been through, Nancy, child, we need to know and be very grounded and rooted in knowing that it is bigger.
Absolutely.
Than what we've been dealing with.
Absolutely. I love
everything
that.
We've gone through is for somebody else.
Well, and as I said, when we were talking offline here, I said, I'll sit here and I'll be leading a program, or I'll be talking to one of my clients, and I'll go, where did that come from? Yep. You know, I don't know this stuff. How did that come out of my mouth? Yep. You know, and I know that this doesn't need to turn into a religious conversation.
It's a spiritual conversation.
It's a spiritual conversation.
Yes,
but
yes.
I know for a fact that and in fact, I've got up here on my board, you know, I've got these things that are talking about how someone else has led me to what I'm doing. My entrance hallway of my house is my cross wall. I have probably 30 crosses up there, you know, and I can't do anything without knowing that that's God-given. And so I think that's a really good first tool that we can talk about, is whether you believe in God, whether you believe in the universe, whatever, to know that there is a meaning and a purpose. And absolutely. The first thing that I ask any one of my clients, and they'll go, is to give me, and I have a little program called Flight Plan, and that is, look at where you want to be in 5 years. You know, and what are you going to be doing, and how are you going to be doing it, and the whole, and of course this is all business related, so you know, if you want to be making $500,000 a year, how are you going to get there? But it digs into, even, what do you eat for breakfast, what kind of clothes do you see yourself wearing? And I'll have people say, well, I don't even know what I'm going to have for dinner tonight, let alone what I'm going to be doing 5 years from now. And I say, well, then you're not going to run a business. You know, you may work for a business, but you are not going to be a business owner. You need to figure out these things first. Absolutely. So I think that's a tool that, whether and it's especially important for someone with a chronic illness, because you know you're going to be getting your fluids in the emergency room. You know that you're going to have to take time off for pain management. You know all of these things. So don't book a Zoom for 365 days a year, because it ain't gonna happen. Nope. That's where putting together your automated system comes in like gold. So tell me, and we're actually getting closer to the end of our time, so we gotta really cram a lot in here. Tell me the types of tools that you use on the regular. You know, what is it that you use to help you run a thriving business? How do you deal with the people you talk to? How do you get to your office and sit and manage things? What is it that you use? What are the automations? Well, even when you said, how do I get to the people that I'm working with, I live strategically in one of those live, work, play spaces. So I like to call my corner office in my apartment. But then for those that may want to come in person, there's office spaces and conference rooms on the 2 lower levels. And so it's easy for me to just call them up and be like, hey, I need a room. I have a client coming in. Parking, valet, it's already there, you know, bill it to the suite that I'm in, make it very easy for me to navigate. I have a 3-year-old
that I'm now the single mother for. His daycare is within 5 miles. Okay. I situate my personal life to make it as easy as possible first, because when I talk to people about work-life balance, it's remembering that you are the human being in the middle. Everything impacts you. Okay. And especially with the chronic illness, everything impacts you, stressors, and so otherwise the logistics, I have so many different types of planners. I have so many different colors of sticky notes. I have a whiteboard. I have my Google Calendar on deck. Look, I got it all, okay? I got it all, okay? And it's all so that depending on my mood, I know that in different moods, I'm not grabbing my productivity planner, but I still need to stay organized. So then I do have a virtual assistant that is making sure that she's consistently reconciling my calendar. We are consistently linked up with Slack. We communicate a lot in Slack. We have Calendly, but we have Calendly for specific people that we particularly give it to. We don't just have out there in the world, you have access to my calendar, but it's very strategic in different places. I have different directories that I'm on, whether it's high rise, like for business folks, or whether it's like therapy directories for people that are gravitating towards there, even though it all comes full circle to business matters, right? I have that. I have my notes. Voice notes in your phone are amazing, okay? Especially your voice to text feature, because then you can voice that thing real quick, take a quick glance at it, and then send it over to the virtual assistant. Hey, check this out. I didn't put it in Slack because I was being random in that moment, because sometimes you get so busy, you're being random, but yet you still have to have order. So she's my fail safe for maintaining order, right? There's also, what else do I use? I just finished taking, as far as automation, I just finished taking everything off of a platform called Teachable, which is, for membership programming. I just took everything off there because after 3 months, I realized that it's not as friendly as I need it to be for me. So it's what you call purposely doing even trial and error with your automation tools. So I'm now trying out something called Uscreen. It's basically where it's like, okay, forget Facebook, forget all these different places. You can pretty much have everything in one space, and it's a TV channel for your business.
Ooh, I like
so
that.
I'm going to try that out. Uscreen, folks, Uscreen. And
I'm gonna try that.
And I'm gonna try it out, and even though I have these different automation tools, like I do have QuickBooks, I do have a CPA to, again, keep an eye on. I know that number stressed me out. I always had a stats tutor. So if I don't have to deal with it, right? If I don't have to deal with it, I don't want to deal with it. I can take a glance at it, and when I'm feeling froggy, I can take a look and make sure everything's copacetic. But I get my reports, and we do a bi-monthly review, with the CPA. But I have my CPA that just handles my bookkeeping, but I have QuickBooks. I have, Chase Banks. They have a merchant services in there too. And specifically because I see therapy clients, I also use a platform called Therapy Notes, HIPAA compliant virtual platform. Everything's there. I can send all their documents through there instead of sending them through emails with their personal health information on it. Everything is through there. Payment goes through there. So subsequently, I also use Stripe. And so I use these different things, but at the same time, I want to stress the fact that I have tried them out and gotten to the point of getting there. So many people subscribe to certain ones because someone else is checking it out and saying this is the thing to do. But if it doesn't work for you in the way your mind is set up, and you won't know unless you actually try it, it's actually going to be a stressor. Because then you're going to say, oh, load off, take care of it. And then you realize I can't even access this thing. Every time I go to access, this is a problem. You have to go for what works for you. I also use what's another one that I use? I use, of course, Zoom. I use Zoom, but I have StreamYard as well. I like to use StreamYard. I like to use, because StreamYard, for those that don't know, you can really broadcast live to multiple places at one time, especially on your social media platforms, especially if you have different groups that you want to broadcast in. Zoom is getting hip, so that's nice. That's always nice for certain things. And then there are, just other things in between there to fill in the gap, whether it's called like Audacity and things for uploading your podcast and things. And then I use WordPress for my blog, but thankfully Audacity and WordPress, they got a good thing going on where you can, any podcast that you do, you can convert it into a blog and just figure out the whole transcription thing. And so it's nice to just have multiple things in different places because you don't know what's going to draw someone to your business. So those are the ways that I actually do my marketing. Yep. I have things in multiple places. Another tip and a tool, Hero. Help a reporter out so that you can get yourself as an expert on different magazines, news channels. I was doing some news broadcast on mental health for leaders in Australia. tickerNEWS, just from going on Hero, I'm an executive contributor for Brains Magazine, like all these different things that came through Hero and really strategically putting my hands in particular boxes to make sure that I grab all of the avenues in which that my audience will gravitate. Just like I'm big on LinkedIn. A lot of business owners are on LinkedIn. A lot of business owners are reading versus having the time to listen, to a podcast. But those that aren't, then they listening to the podcast and didn't know they needed me, Right. So that's what I do. And there's, like I said, there's other things, but my main thing is making everything that I use for automation make sense for my personality, makes sense for when I am most stressed. What can I still operate with and find helpful? That's why I said I also have my little whiteboard things on there as far as my main goals. This is what I'm going to accomplish. This is my, almost like a vision board, except that it's written down very plainly. This is my goal for 2021. This is my goal for 2022. Hey, I'm going to write a book. All that other stuff. Yeah.
Let me tell you before we go, because I use StreamYard too. I just this morning found Restream. And it's less expensive. You can live stream to more places.
Ooh.
And it looks like it offers more and looks like it's simpler.
Nice. I'm going to check that out. I'm definitely checking that out because I'm always looking for something that's more reasonably priced,
Yeah.
Things that can, integrate better, because ultimately, again, when you're dealing with your health issues, your mental health issues, you need those extra coins.
That's right.
You need your little pocketbook.
That's right.
Because when it's all said and done, if I ended up right after this podcast recording, for example, in the ER, I still need to pay a copay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
after one of my surgeries, my insurance quit paying, just like that. They quit paying, leaving me with a $500,000 doctor bill.
No.
So luckily we wound up suing the insurer. And I didn't have to pay the bill, but you're sitting here going, how the heck am I ever going to pay that? So I know
it's all about making it all make sense. Just like you said, like these tips and tools have to be beyond the surface discussion. It has to be beyond the surface little anecdotal things. It has to be what's going to work so that when it's all said and done, like I said, you as the human being in the middle can go to bed at night.
Yeah.
You as the human being in the middle can breathe without having a panic attack, the overwhelm, because ultimately that's making you less creative anyway. That's making it more difficult for you to problem solve in your business and your personal life. anyway.
And if you're just miserable in everything you're doing, then, why bother? You've got to be able to, and bottom line for me is, no matter what, you've got to be able to laugh. You've got to be able to have some fun. You've got to be able to enjoy life, whatever that may be. Somebody asked me the question yesterday, define success. And I, and there's all these people go, well, I'm making $1 million. I've got this, mansion. I said, to me, success means I'm happy. Doesn't say I don't hurt, doesn't say I don't have struggles, but I'm happy. And if I'm happy, I'm successful.
Yeah. It's so funny. I have a sign that's right here on the other side of my laptop, and it says success, the accomplishment of a goal or purpose. And I always say people on purpose, favorable results or positive returns on hard work. And it does not have to be money.
Nope, it doesn't. So I love our conversation. It was incredible. Thank you so much, Doctor.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
If there were one thing that we did not talk about that you absolutely think we need to let people know, what is that?
It's a quote that I recently started repeating after it just came up in another interview. And it's, always look for this: at the intersection of faith and wisdom, purpose will show up. And take it from there.
I've heard that and I love it. That's great. That's a wonderful way to end our show. Thank you so much. Everybody, to wrap things up, if you liked what you heard today, let us know. Connect with Shané on LinkedIn. I'm sure she'll be happy to talk to you. If there's anything she can do, I'm sure she'll give you some more tips and things like that. And in the future going forward, let us know the kinds of things that you want to hear us talking about. I've got goosebumps today. I think today was just wonderful. But if you've got questions for me, or if you'd like to know more about what we do at Business Success Unlimited, let's hop on a Zoom call. My contact information and Shané's will be in the show notes below, or you can email me at nancy@businesssuccessunlimited.com. Until then, guys, get out there, be productive, and soar higher. Take care, y'all. Until next time. Bye-bye.